Good day and good evening, and welcome back to Mental Roulette Live with me, Caetsu Chaiji, but you can just call me Kai. Quick, I guess, upfront note. The monster is back. The stronger PC I have, it has a new AMD CPU now, so it should be fine. But just because maybe I've overlooked something when setting it up again. If there's something unusual in the stream, like something weird going on, then, you know, let me know. If it's just, you know, the usual, don't worry about it. With that said, hey Erdel, hey Taldemar, hey Nox, hey Zaf, hey Vince, hey Ceres, hey Kraken Mo, hey Naomi, hey Caitlin, hey Haki, hey Ilya, hey Bob. Hope you're all doing very well. And hey Gleaming, hope you're doing well as well. And I do hope so as well, Taldemar. This should be the last time I even need to mention which PC I'm on. Chainsaw's like back there. That's correct, Taldemar. For some reason, the chat box was turned off. It wasn't bugged. It was just turned off. Thank you. I'll say crab cake. Hope you're doing well. So, really quickly here, let's see. Caitlin said, I had a question for you. Are you all done with the AR relics and Heavensward relics? I'm on the book portions for all the relics myself. No, I'm not. I'm currently, like, I have a list, and I'm gradually collecting all of the things that I'll need for all of them. Like, I've, like, summarized some of the things. Sometimes it's, like, an item where you can get it with multiple currencies, and I've just, like, noted one that I'm assuming I'll be spending, and then, like, I've summed them up. But long story short, I need to be able to finish all of them. I need 175,000 poetics. Actually, 175,600 poetics. And I need, let's see if I get enough zeros, 1.68 million company seals. And about 26,000 crafter-gatherer purple scripts. And if I have all that, then I would actually be able to, like, finish all of them gradually if I wanted to at any point. Just today, actually, I finished collecting all the Bombard cores I need. And today I'll probably also finish all the Archaic Enchanted Ink I need. But in regards to how much I've actually finished, I have 2 AR relics fully finished, and then I have a warrior weapon at this stage, so that I can farm Atma, which I've also not fully finished, as you can see. For Heavensward, I have 1 relic finished, and only 1 started as well, I believe. So hey Noi, hope you're doing well. Been watching your roulette videos for quite a while, and that's my first time catching you live. Not necessarily, but if you want to sub, then the support is always appreciated. I'll say Haunted, hope you're doing well. And yeah, it's not that bad. Actually, anything with company seals, that when I said I need like 1.7 million company seals, I'm just saying, if you want a bunch of company seals quickly, if you go and do something like, just off the top of my head, Thug Extreme, you can do that in like 10 seconds, I think. And then you open the coffer as Paladin. I believe the weapon that he drops plus the coffer should add up to like 3,000 company seals. That's not the most effective way to do it, but by comparison, there's no way to pick up, like, I don't know, 100 poetics in 10 seconds. No way. So 1.7 million company seals is a lot less than 170,000 poetics. So it's not too bad. I'll say, Yannick, hope you're doing well. You're checking it twice. I actually check it many times. Naomi says, I guess the pink hoodie is the official Mental Roulette stream outfit now. I guess so. Nays and Otto and Milo, hope you're doing well. Now, speaking of Mental Roulette, maybe we should get started. And we are starting with Bard. Yeah, another thing that I do to try and optimize is that, like, I'm not spending currency on singing clusters or the Alexandrite maps until I've done everything else, which is why I have like 135 Alexandrite. It is one of the like faster things to grind, but given that you get some quote-unquote for free every day by doing some dailies, why bother, right? I'll say Snillan and Redmaster, hope you're doing well. Right, I'll queue when it says 1925. Oh, 12-minute replacement. That's concerning. Where are we going? Oh boy. We start with Thorn March Extreme. Raise his fluffiness. How's it, Thomas? Hope you're doing well, and thank you. Hey, Dragon, hope you're doing well. And hey, Agent Monica, hope you're doing well as well. Are Moogles fluffy though? I mean, do you see that? That's pretty fluffy. Well, we got a group then. Oh boy. The one that just joined used a macro to send the entire strategy in like 10 lines. I've heard others suggest doing that. And just have a macro on hand for each boss, so you can, like, if you land there as a mentor, you just dink, and then it's there. The funny thing is that I've in the past just written strategy extremely fast, and it ended up with the people being more distracted by the speed at which I wrote it than actually paying attention. I was like, cool, hope you're doing well. How does Mock King Extreme work again? You hurt him by hurting his Mox Guard. And the way you do that is you hurt them all to close to death, and then you kill them. And then he'll rest them. And you do that a few times. Now this is really awkward as a bard, because you don't get that long to attack him. You can do this as a little starter, but I am not going to dot anything. I will simply shoot whatever has the least HP, or the most HP at any one time. Just carefully one hit at a time. Oh boy. Oh, we have a healer dead. That's quick. Oh, something died. Oh, that's pretty good. 48% already. That's extremely good. And the reason why I don't use my dots at all is because while it would do more damage per action, it's really difficult for like the party as a whole to know exactly how much damage is missing on a Moogle when they have a random dot happening. Oh dear. We have a tank dead. Ow. Something died. %. Now we just need to bring it home. And this hurts very badly. But we need to stick it out. Hold it. And you hold your burst, because the moment a guy dies, now the timer, like the DPS check begins. The more you can burst when it's time, the better. Oh boy. What often goes wrong in this fight is that players will go, oh, this is the last round, and then they'll kill something immediately, and then you can't actually make it because something died too quickly. Time for the range there'll be. If I could aim it just right, that would be pretty neat. Oh, here it goes. How did so many suddenly die? Nice. Nice. Wow, that was a... Technically, that was not first try. I joined and then it was first try. But that was still amazingly well done. Jose, Emily, and Diaz and Paul. Hope you're doing well. I think the thing that suddenly killed 3 players was that the mechanic where 3 players get crowd controlled and then needs Ishuna. went through without any help. I need to go back to that one mental roulette video where I translated what amazingly well meant. Didn't you basically translate everything to "it was fine"? Except if I don't say something good, then it must have been absolutely terrible. Also, hey Lexi and Rust, hope you're doing well. It's been a while, Lexi, hasn't it? That was duty 1. First try, Thornmarsh Extreme. That is setting a pretty crazy high precedent for future runs. Dark Knight. Yeah, no worries, Lexi. I hope things are better now. I will queue when it says 55, so 22:55. And the reason why I'm mentioning it is because some people are trying to queue into me, and, you know, it's no fun if I'm actively dodging them by being sneaky about it. And, like, I don't need that advantage in the first place. We've had 2 whole streams and no one has managed to snipe me with a duty other than mental roulette queuing into me. Hey Jason, hope you're doing well. I have been well, Lexi. Thank you. And hey Seraph, hope you're doing well as well. A 4-man duty, is it Rathalos Extreme? That bright green color for Dark Knight is wrong on many levels. See, the thing is, Telema, I think I can customize the color of the wheel, but the way it distributes them is that it just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as the jobs get removed, the colors would stop matching again. So that's why I don't bother. What do we get? Oh, Porta de Cobana. And we have no raid buff, so I just let the MP go zoomy. Don't we have to mute this? No, this is not Torn from the Heavens. This is Maker's Ruin. This one is fine. Torn from the Heavens sounds a little similar to this, but this is Maker's Ruin. This one is fine. But thank you anyway, Gleaming. I'm just going, wait, what, mute? There are a few tracks in Final Fantasy XIV that has been played in orchestra versions, and some of them may lead to automated claims on YouTube. They will claim, like they'll say they want half, but the thing is, they claim that the actual music from the game is a cover. So if you do a counterclaim, they'll let it slide. It's just really annoying, so I just usually mute those tracks so that I don't have to deal with it. And if you don't know what Torn from the Heavens is, one place where you'll hear it is the first and the second boss in Mount Gold has that track for some reason. And that is typically where I'll run into it. A lot of bigger fates around the world will also have it. Isn't the top one also a version of Maker's Ruin? I believe Phase 1 is a version of Maker's Ruin, whereas Phase 2, I'm pretty sure, is a version of Torn from the Heavens. I believe the that top specifically has like various versions of both. Womp womp. But if you're ever in doubt, it like the thing is, usually if I talk a lot over it, it doesn't actually get, like, the claim doesn't happen. It usually happens if I'm like just silently playing. But if you're ever uncertain, like, you know, just send YouTube a recording of you just playing the track, essentially, and it might just work. Not something like it might not do it anymore. It's been a while since I've ran into this problem though. Are you still attacking during the barrier? I stopped attacking after a bit. The really weird thing with the barrier is that it prevents all side effects, but for some reason it allows you to continue your combo. So I could set it so that I could choose which combo I wanted to continue with after the invuln was over. So like you can, if it isn't a side effect aside from combos, then you can set yourself up. Get ready. That's the best you can really do here. Hey, Dunker! Hope you're doing well. Hey, Ent! Hope you're doing well. I mean, yeah, the reason why I continued attacking for a bit was because I wasn't sure if it gave me MP, and if it did, then I was certainly not going to let that slide.
But the Ultima weapon is all-powerful. Why does my enemy still stand?
Why does my enemy still stand?
Can her strength truly be so great?
Just saying, guys, wouldn't you be more concerned if we were sitting?
It is the blessing of light that can...
Why does my enemy still sit? But yeah, the thing is, many of the remixes of those kind of tracks that would like activate that claim usually dodge it because they're not similar enough.
So, this is what it
Hey, Anne-Marie, hope you're doing well, and I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, we are using a wheel to randomly choose jobs for every duty, and right now the chosen one is Dark Knight. Hey Poyo, hope you're doing well. I was wondering what's your main job in Final Fantasy XIV or favorite job. At the moment, and has been for a little bit, my main is Black Mage, where if I were to say for other roles, I usually main Warrior for tank and Sage for healer. And Viper for melee if we're like really getting down to the nitty gritty, and Dancer for ranged physical.
An enigma whose surface even the vaunted scholars.
Hey Fox, hope you're doing well. Well, it's difficult to compete with the Endwalker hitboxes. Like suddenly, like that's difficult to work with.
do you speak?
A spell without parallel. Ultima.
My favorite part of this cutscene is how Ultima weapon, like, Gaius tries to slap La Brea, but he moves so slowly that it, like, exactly that it looks like some sort of high school theater production where he's like, I'm gonna slap ya, and then La Brea slowly yeah, that exactly. Like, La Brea could just float out of the way, he would still have dodged it, but he's so extra that he teleports out of the room entirely and then moves. I think it's supposed to be a slap, Emily, but I'm honestly not sure if it's like I don't. If it's not him trying to hit, I don't know what it's supposed to be, because it's not like with that speed. Like the thing that mainly would make it hurt is because it's like metal, just like at like a relatively slow pace, dunking into you would still hurt. Milo's favorite part is the meme he made out of Mr. Yap. Well, yeah, Mr. Yap is the Habrea. That is a good one. Also, hey, Cyan, hope you're doing well. And what was the first time I heard people complain about boss hitboxes? Yeah. They were so big that it got a little ridiculous. So I just took it as a dramatic gesture. Yeah, I don't know. It's just so specific how he like hits exactly where the Habrea was supposed to be.
Such devastation! This was not my intention!
Oh,
But yeah, the hitboxes in Endwalker are so big that like if you compare them to any other place in the game, you'll be like, okay, yeah, they're pretty big. Like if you're ever uncertain, you just compare them to anything else, and you're like, wow. That does make sense that would be where they stood out a bit. Also, hey, Melissa, hope you're doing well, and thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that, and I do hope you enjoy being a mentor. Also, hey, Itky, hope you're doing well.
I must deal with you. The question of who is mightier remains. Come, adventurer. Let us find the answer together.
And he says, I started the game in Uldar, but somehow I managed to forget that Thancred existed while he was absent in ARR. Well, there's a lot going on, so you're too focused on all the other characters being introduced. Did it go well, Zarth? Also, yeah, Aradel mentioned it. I'm not entirely sure how it works with the whole algorithm thing, but as far as I know, it does help to like streams as they're live. That tells like the algorithm that, oh, this is a good stream, you should be watching it. You're not just looking at it and it's like whatever. You're actually liking it, so it does help. So thank you so much for in advance for that. But I'm not entirely sure how it works with the whole algorithm thing. So it's not like I'm like, yeah, and then suddenly the view count doubles. But it is appreciated. Hey Zynite, hope you're doing well. Etheric boom. I want it to be known that I'm pretty sure we've already spent longer in this duty than we spent in Thornmarsh. Hey Sir Bob, hope you're doing well. And thank you so much. That is a good question, Emily. I don't know. I would guess, considering how slow they go, that either they would actually wipe you, or they'll do they might actually do a lot of damage. But I don't know. And the reason why I'm saying they would probably do a lot of damage is because in the extreme version, they straight up wipe you if you let them through. Like just kaboom, dead. Tank Purge! Bam! Why is it called the tank purge when it clearly hurts the tank the least? It's because he's purging his, like, fuel tanks. That's why the explosion is like blue flames, because that's usually how they show ceruleum fuel. Which is what Ultimate Weapon runs on, I'm pretty sure. But it is a little confusing. It's like tank purge, and then it doesn't hit the tank. Hey, Kegemui, hope you're doing well. And next up, Black Mage! It runs on 100% free-range Garuda chicken. That was quick. Also, Black Mage was actually blue here. I will queue when it says 420. Blaze it. What's your favorite LB3 animation? I actually really like the Pixelmancer one. The Black Mage one is also really nice. Unfortunately, speaking of Black Mage, our Black Mage run got squandered with a kill test. But the ultimate weapon is all gas fueled. Are those two chanters just standing there, like, healing each other? What's happening here? Bam! Wabam! Wablam! I'm not entirely sure what compelled me to swift cast that Blizzard 1. It didn't really accomplish anything, but oh man! There's a lot of healers. Yeah, it's probably muscle memory Kraken Mo. I even set it up perfectly. If it had been Blizzard 3, it would have been pretty nice. But, nope. Playing Black Mage at lower levels is always awkward. Specifically below level 35 is where it actually gets a little difficult for me to defend it. At level 35, it's already at a point where I'm like, oh, you can do some funny things with it. But below 35, there's not that much you can do. Also, hey, Skylar, and False Geek, and Raki, and Zip Zap. Hope you're all doing well. Is that because of Umbral Soul? No, it's because of Fire 3 and Blizzard 3. And next up, we have Pixomancer. Double Mage. Hey, Aradil, if you're keeping track of that, it would be mega awesome if you like write it down and like send me the list of all those things with the duties and the jobs when we're done, because I'm going to have to do that anyway. Thank you so much. I will queue at 5:50, but it looks like everyone's gone. Xenordo says, I still haven't done the guild test because queues for them are always dead on Dynamis. My best suggestion... Oh, look, Bob's here. My best suggestion there is try and do it at, you know, times where there's more people online, but even that might not always help. And Marie says, I took a look at Viper and the hotbar's action list looked far too complex for my smooth brain to understand. Remember that I have a 7.2 edition of my Viper guide. It might help you. It goes through, like, as always with my guides, it, like, fills out the hotbar gradually as I introduce things, so you might be able to see, like, where you want things in order of importance. But it can, like, all of the jobs that start at a really high level can be quite overwhelming. Talmar says if you just want to do the guild test for unlocking purposes, maybe DC travel would do. It doesn't help that much, Talmar. Because if you're on OCE, you can't go anywhere else. Thank you, Ardell. Oh wait, Dynamis, sorry. Dynamis is not an OCE. Dynamis is an NA. In that case, yeah, just visit a different NA DC. That should probably help you a lot. Oh boy. Are you ready for the craziest rotation in the game, guys? I don't know if you're actually ready. I don't know if you can actually ever be ready for how incredibly complicated this rotation is going to be. Did you see that 1 and then you press 1 again, and you know what, then you press 1 and then like actually you now it gets really complicated because then you press 1 again and then you press 1 again. And you know how the rotation changes between single target and AoE? Yeah, this rotation is so incredibly complex that it doesn't change. The craziest optimization you can make here is you can do the slap. Ow. You can do the slap, that is go into melee range so you can auto attack for 10 damage. Slightly mega optimization with Caetsu Chaiji. Are you ready? How's that? Thankfully you have the self bubble. Yeah, that's why I dared to pull the other pack than the one the tank went for. Wow. Do we get another mage and then another guild test? Ninja robbed over here. Just barely robbed. I will queue when it says 7:05. Yeah, that's also an idea, okay, can we... I would also say just going to a striking dummy and, like, learning the actions in the order they're learned, like just putting them on your bar one at a time and then trying it out at high level might also help. Can you repeat after pressing 1? Out of context, the wheel landing on warrior is funny. Wait, why? Why out of context? Oh, on war. What are we doing today? Spin the wheel. Denied. Oh, instant replacement. Where are we going? Oh, of course. I wanted the 4-man duty. Can we trade back? I wanted the 4-man duty. I'd rather the 4-man duty. It's so classic. If you're an instant replacement, the probability of it being an alliance raid or an extreme suddenly just skyrockets. Oh look, they only have 1 tank, I think. Yep, they have 1 tank. 2 of the 3 tanks left. Oh. Enjoy your evening, Taldemar. Gold says, I can't believe how many people leave World of Darkness. I can't either. I feel like it's one of those where, like, yeah, okay, it's not the most exciting thing, but you could have expected this to happen when you queued for Alliance Roulette. Like, first of all. Second of all, it's not that long, so you could probably survive it. Ice Mage detected? Is it? They did get Thunderhead, so something is happening at least. But they're casting Blizzard quite a lot. Did they switch to fire with the Fire 1? Yeah, we're not doing that. We are not doing that. It's okay, I'll be the tank now. I'm not sure what stunned me, but I didn't move in time because I was too caught up in someone recognizing me. Hey, humble student. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Kageruki. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, the other tank that started running away grabbed aggro back, so I just provoked again. I have said that that's what how I deal with it when tanks start to get funky with it. I'll just take over. If you take over in a smart way, then you can forcibly do it on a single target. Yeah, that's the one I've heard a lot, Noe. It's very, very annoying because it's like... The funny thing is, the people that say, oh, I couldn't be bothered to learn the rotation, I'm just lazy, is like... Then level your job in, you know, like trusts and stuff, so you can, like, waste your own time. Some people argue that, well, it doesn't take that much longer to do that, but I'm just saying, if it takes 2 minutes longer to do the duty because you are lazy, then you wasted 8 minutes of people's time combined, where you could have just wasted your own time, but because it's only your time that is being wasted, suddenly it's a problem. Like, basically, when it's, like 10 minutes of your time that is being wasted, it's a problem, but if it's only 2 minutes of your time, it's okay to waste other people's time as well, right? Funny that. And yeah, it doesn't take that much longer, but then, you know, do it alone. 2 minutes feels like an eternity in a duty. Yeah, in a way. It's also just the principle of the matter that somehow it taking slightly longer to do a duty because you're being lazy is somehow okay to these people. But it's not okay that trusts might take 10 to 12 minutes longer to do the duty with, just in general. Melissa says, when I feel lazy, I play a less demanding class. If I feel lazy, then I'll just not play content, right? Exactly, Ceres. If you can't be bothered to even play, then why should others be forced to bother to play with you? I noticed that Captain Meme over there likes to spam their ranged attack, so I'm spamming my ranged attack to force them. The only way they can steal aggro from me is by provoking, and if they provoke, I'll just provoke back, and then nothing happens. There it was, they provoked, I think. fun. Hey, Carrot. Hope you're doing well. What do you mean? The territorial tanks thing? But yeah, that is weird. When a tank really insists on tanking and then they're not even doing it seriously. Does my favorite runs were sometimes the slow ones with Sprout tanks whose first time in here. See, the thing is, I see that tank is a Sprout, but they provoked and then just started running in circles with the first boss, which is extremely dangerous. That's why I'm not giving them a chance, because that's what they were doing. And the moment they've gotten aggro on this boss, they also started turning the boss and running around with it. So, like, unfortunately, if they haven't learned how to tank a boss by now, which just does not involve running in circles, then they don't get to tank a boss for 23 other people. But overall, I agree with you on that. It's a lot more fun to, like, let the newcomers try. I just noticed that one of the groups is missing a tank. Because Captain Meme went to my spot. It's also possible they have the misconception that they believe that Provoke needs to be used on cooldown. That is true. But, like, the thing is, I don't have a problem with them spam provoking. What I have a problem with is them provoking and then running in circles. Like, that's the problem. Like, if they spam provoked but they tanked correctly, I wouldn't have said anything. I was just been like, that's a little aggressive. Oh, that does sound pretty fun, Carrot. I will say, in Praetorium, it's not like there's bosses that cleave in front of them so that other people just get smacked because the tank is a little excited. Hey, Dinky. Hope you're doing well. See, I'll give him one more chance. And... oh, he actually stopped. He actually stopped. Wait, nope. He's not stopping. He really wants to spin the boss. We're not having that. We're not having that. I will also turn the boss to this corner, which is safer. And now we can play the game. Hey, KKB. Hope you're doing well. Oh boy. In fairness, what's happening right now is just the boss doing mechanics. Hey, Freezy Lemon. Hope you're doing well. This is a very awkward thing, because we need the chains and they're 30 miles away. Exactly, Red Master. And I'm also saying, the thing is, this Sprout could learn this in a 4-man duty. They don't have to learn this in an Alliance raid. And this is when you should know how to do it as a tank. And if you don't, let a tank that does know give it a go. And then you can see how they do it. This is about a Sprout tank. MD, the Dark Knight, really, really wants to tank. But every time he gets the chance, he's just spinning the boss and running in circles. So I'm basically denying them. Like, just completely denying them by counter-provoking the instant they try. I'm not trying to be a boss kill about it, but I don't think it's very fair to the rest of the raid to play like that. Which is why I'm just denying them. They can tank the final boss if they want to. There they can spin the boss as much as they like, it won't work. Thingy says, I don't think I've tanked in a raid yet. Makes me nervous in a way that I don't experience in dungeons. I could understand that. I'll say, if you know how to tank in a dungeon properly, then you have nothing to be afraid of. KKB says, as a Scholar main who wants to try a tank, which would you recommend as a beginner? I think both Warrior and Paladin are good starting choices, especially because they start at level 1, so you learn the things from the very beginning. Both of them have each of their own difficulties and challenges, but they are pretty good starting choices. But I would say genuinely the only one that stands out as a little bit rough for defensive play is a lot of people find Dark Knight harder. But I would say find the one you think is the most interesting and do that one. But if you want an easy start, a Warrior and Paladin are both pretty nice. Paladin has a simpler low-level rotation. Warrior gets, earlier goes completely off the rails with insanely powerful defensive rotation. That doesn't really matter, Echo. In a raid context, all tanks generally heal enough. Oh! The Dark Knight straight up died. So you don't need to worry about that. Some people say that there are specific preferences where some tanks are better at one thing than another. It's not entirely wrong, but roughly speaking, all 4 tanks are good enough at both main tank and off tank that it doesn't matter. That was a tank limit break going out there from somewhere. The main reason, Mizuchi, that a lot of people find Dark Knight harder than the other tanks is because a lot of the advice that you receive about tanking and defensive cooldowns and such apply slightly differently to Dark Knight. Like, for instance, a Warrior is recommended to, alternate Raw Intuition and other defensive cooldowns. A Paladin, broadly speaking, are recommended to often alternate Sheltron and other defensive cooldowns, with some exceptions where it's actually pretty good to double up. For Gunbreaker, the same applies to Heart of Stone and Heart of Corundum. For Dark Knight, TBN is its whole own beast. It's a whole thing. It's not that much harder to use it, but it's just different enough that it could be what breaks the camel's back when someone is learning a new role. Are there tank swaps in normal raids? Sometimes, technically, whether you have to respect them is a different story. By which I mean, let me give an example. E4N Eden's Titan. His Tank Buster applies a physical vuln. And it lasts like a minute. So if you don't tank swap, then the tank who's tanking will basically deal with this debuff for the entire fight. Edward. But the thing is, the damage increase from this physical vuln is so small that unless you're doing like minimum item level or something, I don't think it matters. Was I Raging Bull? Hope you're doing well. That is interesting, Raging Bull. This MD had a sprout icon, though. And that's true, Jason. The doctor thing that becomes, you know, Big Frankenstein mode has a forced tank switch that actually kills if you don't respect it. On normal. As a nervous tank, I shouldn't worry about tank swaps. In most trials and raids, the off-tank's job is essentially to be ready to pick it up when the main tank is in trouble or dies. If you need to tank switch, in most situations where it comes up, you'll learn it. Your co-tank will probably start saying something if you had to tank switch, but it's really rare. And most of the time, you'll overcome it simply by the main tank dies and then you take over. And then you beat the boss anyways. Would that one be a good one to learn tank swapping in real combat? I don't know, Jason. Maybe? Jose Freelon and everyone else who came in the middle of that one. So just summary for those that got in the middle. The tank that I was dealing with there, the Dark Knight, had a sprout icon, but on the first boss, they were basically running in circles with the boss. And they tried to do that on every subsequent boss, which is the reason why I was basically hogging the bosses, just refusing to let them have it. That's true, Anne-Marie. In fact, if you go through the MSQ fast enough, like you have less than 300 hours played on the character, you'll keep the Sprout even after entering Dawntrail. But yeah, if you're worried about things like tank swapping and how to deal with situation where there's two tanks, also we're going Samurai next, I do have like a tips for mastering tank. I have multiple of them actually. And there I kind of go over what you need to worry about in those situations. I believe I both take the main tank and off-tank point of view. Right, I will queue when it says 1510. Was I Scooper Murph? Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Ardell. I don't know how to tell when it's needed. A lot of the time, you can't know without having done the duty and seen things go sideways as a result. So if you go into a duty and don't do, quote-unquote, your part in tank swapping and such, the only way for you to know that you missed your task was by missing your task. So don't worry about it. Jose Uni, hope you're doing well. And I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. The key here, Itki, is that specifically the doctor that turns into like Frankenstein will actually apply a debuff that stuns the main tank and then causes the follow-up tank buster to kill them. So that one you don't have to tank switch, but the other tank will die. So you don't have to, you will survive. Like, the duty will be beaten just the same, but it is appreciated to do it right. It doesn't kill you if you mid. You have to mid in advance, Itki. remember, it stuns you for a long time. So you have to... like, basically, if the main tank doesn't know that, they'll just die. But yeah, true. If you know that, you can just do that. But that is, again, the key is that debuff isn't that tunable. I don't think it is, now that I think about it, but maybe. But the key is still that the worst that can happen is that the other tank dies. Like that's the worst that can happen. They might be annoyed by that, but, like, it's not going to lead to a wipe all on its own. Ugh. There's no point in using Higanbana. The boss is almost dead. Also, this is a really awkward place to tank the boss. Like, everyone's just getting cleaved and there's nothing you can do about it. Because the boss is standing in goop. Yeah, hope you're doing well. She iframed Yomidare. It's incredible how we get a DPS and then we don't get to do something interesting with it. Gunbreaker! Gunbreaker! It's really like most of the DPS duties we've gotten is just 2-minute adventure. I'll queue when it says 1635. There you got another DPS. DPS in a trench coat. Getting cleaved was slightly... Fair point. Something interesting happened. 4-man duty. Four-man duty. Was first ethical samurai because I ran down the ads. Hey Seth, hope you're doing well. Not really any tips. The best you can do is practice, and the best recommendation I can give is if you learn to have most of your hotbars keybound from the start, then you don't have to like go through learning that later if you choose to learn it later. There's nothing wrong with like clicking some of your actions, but the more you can do with just keybinds, the better. Imagine having Faded Circle. Wouldn't that be wild? Now a healer is a first timer for the duty. So yeah, Arsenal, hope you're doing well. I did see you were in the chat a little bit earlier as well. Here goes Q spam. Well, they are using Holy. I'm just saying, even if they do start to cast Cure 1, they have been attacking, so that's already a pretty big plus from me. Don't understand why they're casting Stone here, though. Disadvantage of playing a caster, everyone can see what you're doing. Well, yeah. I should not have done it like that. Oh well. Yeah, it's a little weird when you have a white mage that decides to spam stone from range when it's perfectly fine. Oh, we have single target dots on as well. Fantastic. I can already feel this is going to be awesome. But if the healer is attacking, then I'm already like, okay, like they could do better. But if they are attacking, then there's at least progress to be made. Because like as long as they're attacking a bit, they might eventually go, oh wait a minute, I could attack more. But if they're not attacking at all, then there's very little to work with. Single target Dotton was good like ages ago. See, the thing is, Killer Rod, I've been told that there was a point where it was actually good on single target in Heaven's Ward. Oh, whoops. But basically, from about Stormblood and onwards, the single target Dotton was only good for placing it down before the fight started, so that the tank could bait them into it. In all other cases, it was a misunderstanding because Dotton takes half a second longer to put down than using Raiton, and didn't do 20% more damage, which made it not worth it. So it's like it's a classic misconception, and it has somehow endured because nowadays not even that argument works, because not even that is good. Like Dotton actually does less single target potency. Oh, whoops. Oh! They used Benediction. I already used my invuln, but fair. But yeah, genuinely, in like Stormblood or so, and Shadowbringers, the single target Dotton versus Raiton was a classic because the potencies were close enough that technically Dotton did more damage on single target. But because it took longer, but that wasn't very well communicated in the tooltip, it wasn't very obvious that that was the case. Is White Mage not using Regen? I don't think they are, no. I am on Chaos, Milan. The White Mage also used Holy in the first pulse. So at some point they just stopped. And then it came back again. Maybe it's like a specific target count where they feel safe doing it. I don't know. If not, hope you're doing well. Enter night. Nice. Now Bard knows what to do. There's also one more thing about single target Doton that makes it even weirder in comparison to Raiton, is that I've actually gone over this in my Mythbuster series at least once, if not twice, if not 3 times. But placed AoEs like Doton, while they snapshot your state when you put it down, so like if you have, I don't know, a damage buff, then it'll remember that for the whole duration. It scales real time with the target, which means that if you put down Doton while your Trick Attack is active, it'll benefit from Trick Attack until Trick Attack ends. Which is specifically a problem for Ninja. Like specifically Ninja among the jobs that have a placed AoE also simultaneously have have targeted debuffs that increase damage rather than buffs that increase damage, causing problems. By comparison, Dark Knight only has a buff on themselves, and well, Summoner has a buff on themselves. So in both of those cases, they wouldn't notice. I'll say, Rody, hope you're doing well. If you read who's in your party in the chat, Noi, I usually say hello in the party chat when I enter. Specifically like HELLO exclamation mark with a capital H. So you will see my name in the chat if you were in the party in partying with me. Also, hey Shaq, hope you're doing well. They are making it a lot harder for themselves by basically refusing to use Regen altogether. Hey Nazir, hope you're doing well. Young Dunn says maybe it's my own misconception, but I usually don't use Doton on single target. Good. the lightning strike always seems to do more damage in regards to single target. It does. Like, as I was saying a little bit ago, I have like 1, 2, or 3 videos, if not more than that, where I've explained that it's a common misconception. It's a mistake that is commonly perpetuated that people use Doton on single target. It is incorrect to use Doton on single target. So you're doing the right thing by using Raiton on single target. Don't even second guess yourself on that. You are doing the right thing by using Raiton on single target. Jose Gio? Nope, you're doing well. Single target Doton is funny though. Absolutely. I usually assume if I'm in group with people that know me, that if they're using single target Doton, they're doing it specifically to mess with me. Was I on tempo offbeat? Hope you're doing well. Why is this dungeon so common in Roulette? Is it? I don't feel like I see it that often. Nemo says it's the only dungeon 61 to 65, so everyone who's leveling through dungeons will be in this more than any other. I think you're missing something, Nemo, because there's also Shisui of the Violet Tides, which is an optional dungeon, and then there is Bottom's Metal, which is also an MSQ dungeon. That one is level 65. So I don't think that's it, but it's probably because there's a lot of people, like, hitting level 61, 62, and then, like, that's where they get to. But there's more than one dungeon in this level range, at least. Also, I hope you're doing well. Also to you, Sylvia. But yeah, if you don't look around enough, you will probably assume that, like, you might not know Shisui exists, but it is, I believe, required to unlock flying in Ruby Sea. Anyway, I'll be right back. I will be right back. And in the meantime, sanity restored. Alright, I'm back. Hello, what's up, dude? Hope you're doing well. Right, so before we continue, there's a couple things I just quickly wanted to mention about the Doton thing is that what can make it a little complicated, and I've talked about this in my videos as well, is that, so Raiton, just out the box, just, I believe, is 650 potency. If you don't know what potency means in Final Fantasy XIV, simply put, it's a relative number. If something says it does 200 potency, it does twice as much damage as something that does 100 potency. Basically, just imagine it's like a percentage number based on your average damage. It does this many times your average damage, quote-unquote. But Doton, on the other hand, is really confusing because it says it lasts 18 seconds, and it doesn't say how often it ticks, because no dots do that. Long story short, all dots tick every 3 seconds. The only ones that don't are channeled actions, like Flamethrower, which ticks every second. And what makes it even more complicated is that if you actually go and count, like if you actually put down Doton right now, wherever you are, and count how many times it hits, you'll see that it hits 7 times, not 6. Because placed AoEs, meaning Doton, Salted Earth, Slipstream, Asylum, Sacred Soil. Am I missing any? All hit an extra time when you place them. When they hit when you play Earthly Star isn't relevant in this particular context because it doesn't hit when you place it. But that means that if you put down Doton, you'll see it hit 7 times, not 6. And if you don't understand why, you might go, then I don't know how it works. And then you don't know how much damage it actually does. But when it hits a total of 7 times, and it hits for 80 potency each time, you take 800 minus 3 times 80, so you get 560, which is distinctly less than 650. So on single target, no contest, Raiton wins. On more than one target, it's like, well, Doton wins, but it takes half a second longer to use. It still wins on 2 targets until you get Raiju at level 90 plus. Where Doton falls slightly behind, so it wins on 3 targets. It's more complicated than, oh, this potency versus this potency, which is why I'm just saying when you get Raiju, Doton wins on 3 targets instead of saying, and you can see that here, here, and here. Because it's like, Raiju is a single target attack, it does more damage than your other attacks, so like the question becomes, it wins, like Raiton wins because Raiton plus Raiju beats Doton plus something else. Which is a complicated calculation, but you have to compare all the options. And then Raiju also gives you some Ninki, which is part of the calculation as well. So the important part is that big brain smart ninja mains, which is not me, calculated this, and we just take their word for it. But if I saw a ninja put down Doton on 2 targets, I wouldn't say anything about it. Like, that one, fair enough. But on single target, that's when I'm like, that's always incorrect. Like that's the reason. But one last thing I wanted to talk about before I like queue in again is part of the reason why we get so caught up on single target Doton is exactly the same as, I can't remember, someone said it at the start of the Siren Song C, that the big oof of being a caster is that everyone can see it if you're playing wrong. Because your GCD, like your cast time, is right there. Everyone can see that you're casting the wrong spell. That is part of the reason why black mages tend to be called out when they cast Blizzard one too many times. Because it's right there for everyone to see. In the same way, if I played ninja in a dungeon, and I only used, rather, if I played ninja in like an alliance raid, and the only thing I did was 1-2-3 combos for the entire alliance raid, but then I also put down Doton on single target. Most players paying attention would notice that I use Doton on single target. They would not notice that I'm not using trick attack, I'm not using mug, and I'm not using my jutsus for anything other than Doton on single target. It's basically the same idea. It's because it's so obvious that it's really hard to ignore. It's like a huge red flag saying I'm doing something wrong. Whereas all the other things they're doing are more subtle. So, like, on my end, I might notice that ninja in the dungeon we just did were using single target Doton quite aggressively. But aside from that, they were doing okay. They were using trick attack. What about dots for Scholar single target? Well, their dot does more damage on single target than their filler attack. So you want to do that. Jose, Bretman, and Lichol, and James, hope you're doing well. And Mr. Bright. Yeah, it's the problem is that a lot of the time people will mistake Doton as a dot to maintain. Also, hey, Masked Ward, hope you're doing well. You were Edward from the World of Darkness. Thank you so much. Well done. Did you notice the problems we were having with that Dark Knight? Also, White Mage time. I will queue when it says 115. Bio 1 somehow manages to do more damage than Rune 1. Oh yeah, that one is an awkward one. It's so close. Last time I got White Mage on these live streams, I had a tank that single pulled. Hey Lana, hope you're doing well. Oh boy, we don't even have regen. Woo! That's a funny hat. Oh boy. Should have just taken a step further forward. Oh, they're using arm's length for attack speed reduction. That is... we have a good tank on our hands. That's the sign of a tank that is paying attention. They used arm's length for as a defensive cooldown. That's the sign. Most of the time. I should have opened this door. The shrooms here have mini tank busters. If you've ever wondered why some packs suddenly hurt more than the average pack, it's usually if a mob has like a randomly have a tank buster. And just like jerk anglerfish pretty much always have a really annoying debuff or something to apply to you, the mushrooms almost always have a tank buster. It's not a big one, but you can usually hear it. It makes this like sound when it uses it. And yeah, the wheelers do it too. There's also an extra key. Yeah, that key we picked up earlier is technically optional, that's true. Oh, this boss can be slowed. I didn't even know that. Ah, they tried interrupting it. The tank tried to interrupt it, I heard the sound of it. But that's not interruptible. Yeah, stuns work, that is true. That is true. In fairness to the arm's length thing, the only reason why it is obvious to you and I that arm's length is an attack speed slow is because we know that in Final Fantasy XIV, slow means attack speed slow. If you don't know that is the specific distinction, you might think that it's a movement speed slow, in which case, I don't know, most of the time that's not particularly helpful while you're actively fighting the pack, right? Like, that doesn't help you at all, so why bother? And yeah, exactly. If it's actually a movement speed slow, it'll be called heavy. But you and I know that. A new player might not know that. And because slow, being like an attack speed slow, can make it pretty hard to tell. It's not as obvious as, wow, as like when you use Rampart, you can see straight up that you're taking 20% less damage. Like, there's an immediate feedback. With arm's length, they first have to hit you, and then you have to really pay attention to notice that, oh, they are actually swinging slower. It should have been me, not her! And that's also true, Red Master. If you get aggro on something, as a non-tank, if you have arm's length, go for it. And also true, Tenma. It wouldn't do anything if the attack that hits you is a spell. Oh, nice. Very nice. Yeah, exactly, Freezy. Like, a starting point is just, like, when there is, like, a colored in, like, something that could be, like, a colored in keyword, if it could just let you, like, expand those to get told what they mean, that would be a pretty big upgrade. And also true, Anne-Marie, arm's length is rather convoluted. It used to not be the only one that was this convoluted. I believe... So originally, this was like a scholar action, I believe. But then with the roll actions, it was made like a healer roll action. I think it was called Eye for an Eye. What it did was, for the next X amount of time, you or your target, so like you could use it on the tank if you wanted to, if they are hit, there is a chance that the attacker will do less damage for X amount of time. Of course, the specific amount of damage indicated exactly. But just saying, it was... When you or your target of choice, like when the affected player is hit, there is a chance that they will reduce the damage done by the attacker for a while. Like it's so incredibly complicated for no reason. Oh yes, also Living Dead. Living Dead is like... it's one of those tooltips that I use to teach players how to read tooltips, because Living Dead is perfectly interpretable, and you don't, like, there's no confusion about what it does if you know how to read tooltips in Final Fantasy XIV. And I recognize that some of you might be going, are you serious? Who doesn't know how to read a tooltip? The reason is that the way you read a tooltip in Final Fantasy XIV is that durations indicate end of explanation. So if you see a thing say that it does like 4 different things, if it starts by saying, and then the effect of this particular part of it, you know that that part is done when it says how long it lasts. And then it'll go on to the next thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing. And Living Dead does that. Like, if we just read it for a second... Oh boy, it's so long I have to move it a little bit here. Grants Living Dead. It also mentions Walking Dead, so we have to assume that those are going to be listed in order. But Living Dead explains what it does right then. So first line is Living Dead, and then it goes on to explain what Living Dead does. And you can see the moment it finishes with Living Dead duration, the next line explains what Walking Dead does. It doesn't say that, but that's what it means. If you know that duration lines mean period, next thing, then it's really easy to read, because you can see the next thing is Walking Dead. And you can also see that it then mentions Undead Rebirth somewhere in that whole blurb. And then it says Walking Dead duration, and then it explains to you what Undead Rebirth does. But it's a really convoluted tooltip, to the point that I remember when they added the cure potency part, a lot of people were thinking, does that healing part apply when you use Living Dead? No, probably not. But does it still apply when you have Undead Rebirth? And the answer is no. Because if it did, it would say so in the Undead Rebirth as well. Also, hey GV, hope you're doing well. And yeah, in roughly speaking, Living Dead is Holmgang with a benediction attached to it, kind of. Yannick says, ice spikes on Palace of the Dead imps have been shadow changed? How so? Omgang plus Bloodwetting, kinda? Very kinda. The problem is that you have to, you have to wait with attacking to get the heal when you want it. But also you could just... That's also true, Cole. That is interesting, Yannick. Monk robbed. Monk just straight up robbed. I'll queue when it says 550. I'll say, Twan, hope you're doing well. I think it's been a while. Two-minute replacement. Void, of course it's an alliance raid. Of course it's an alliance raid. Do you need to heal like once in this entire raid? There's that gas room with all the marbles and such. There you can actually die if people aren't paying attention. And if they're not paying attention, a healer paying attention can sometimes save it. Now you can be a true mentor. Watch from watching from the sidelines and give advice. Well, that red mage is ooh boy. Jose Rose Artemis, hope you're doing well. The main thing about Living Dead macros is that I've talked about this a lot of times actually. The main thing about Living Dead macros is, I'll just pass it, didn't do anything for that. If you announce that you're going to use Living Dead, then it will help some players. It will help some players. But a lot of players don't know what, like, some players don't know what Living Dead is in the first place. So if you say, I'm going to use Living Dead, they're like, okay. And just continue spam healing you. And a lot of players are not helped by it. Because if they, like, they might already be looking at you with Living Dead. So it doesn't matter. They didn't need the macro sound. The last possibility is that some of the players that would benefit from you announcing it are too busy panicking over you being near death when you use it. So they're not looking at chat. They heard that there was a sound. They don't know what it's for. Because they're busy trying to save you. And they don't realize that they're actually actively fighting against that by spam healing you. That's not to say that a macro doesn't help. As I said, it helps some players, but there's also a lot of players it absolutely does not help. And that is something to weigh, because macros don't benefit from action buffering, which means that it's a little awkward to use sometimes. It can be. But yeah, I will also say, from what Sarah says, that if you know that you're going to use Living Dead on the following pull, so like you're basically going to let like hog defensive cooldowns because you're going to lead with Living Dead anyways, then that one is pretty good to announce. Because then the healer knows that you didn't just have an aneurysm and then forgot to use anything. You're choosing to not use something. So they will also not completely empty their coffers to keep you from dying because they know you're going to use Living Dead. To just make you unable to heal while Living Dead is applied. I don't know why people want this. I don't understand why this is such a wanted thing, because you're not the only one that I've heard suggest that, Cole. I'm just saying... Uh-oh. If I'm playing Sage, and my tank announces they're going to use Living Dead, I've heard some Sages say that they move Cardia away from the tank to do that. That's stupid. You're basically going, I'm going to use Living Dead when I'm about to die, and then you go, okay, I'll make sure you die faster. Meaning you get less value out of it. Just don't empty the coffers. Use things you would use anyway, but don't empty the coffers to keep them alive. Like, if I say as a Dark Knight that I will use Living Dead, I will still open with CDM. That'll mean I can hold Living Dead a little longer. It's just, I'm going to use it. Eventually. But you're specifically saying that Living Dead should block healing would make it very bad. I can see the possible benefits of it being like, oh, then the healer can't screw up your Living Dead. But like the thing is, it just moves who's the jerk, because then, you know, the Dark Knight might die because they used Living Dead at a stupid time, and there's nothing the healer can do about it. But that doesn't change the fact that the tank might blame the healer because they don't understand. Like, it just passes the buck. Now the tank has the opportunity to be the idiot. You know? Like, it wouldn't be an improvement. If we're min-maxing Living Dead pop times, we don't need Living Dead. True. And Cole can like, you say just a change for pucks. Okay, Cole, envision this. You're the Dark Knight. You go, okay, I want to use Living Dead now, so I'll just use it. Meanwhile, the camera slowly pans to the healer who's actually just going to try and save you, and nothing works. So now, instead of just having spent half of all of their tools to save you from your own Living Dead, they've used everything. Because it didn't work. Like, I'm just saying, the exact players you want to save would actually make it worse. Jose Fern and Lone Wolf, hope you're doing well. And exactly, Fern, the problem ultimately comes back to, if the healer doesn't know what Living Dead is, then it's going to go wrong. But that's just how it is. That's just, like, that's just how it is. How do you learn how things work? By being taught, by either reading it or being taught it. And I'm just saying, if your tank suddenly stops receiving healing altogether, I don't think your immediate reaction is to stop healing them. You'd probably use a lot of options before you realize. So I'm just saying, the way Living Dead is designed right now, I don't think there's any way to save it. How about we make Living Dead a cheat death, like an automatic one? Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be really funny. Hey Perrin, hope you're doing well. Need a cutscene like the White Mage quest where it's the one woman saying she doesn't want to do all those other things, I just want to heal. But yeah, that's a classic. It's funny how... It might be like some bias speaking, but it feels like the most likely healer to refuse to attack altogether are White Mages. And they would be the one type, like the one healer that is guaranteed, like almost guaranteed to have done that quest. It's pretty ironic. But yeah, if they wanted to optimize the current design of Living Dead without changing it, like changing its effect, the most easy way to make it like have less disagreements and pugs would be by just making it a cheat death. That's true, Cole. But there is something that is going to be really funny about that, is like in maybe Savage Prog or something, Dark Knights just losing their invuln because they got hit by something that they weren't supposed to, and it's just, well, I know I wasn't supposed to do that. I can't control it. It's automatic. I just don't have my invuln now. And that's probably right, Bits. And that's true, Nemo. The main reason why I even bring it up, that there could be a downside to it, is exactly because if you are if you're using a macro, just keep in mind that it doesn't have the action buffering, which means that it is a little less reliable than the actual real action. So while it can be helpful for some other players, it is a downgrade for you, like a small downgrade. So the question is whether it helps enough to make it worth. Jose Nemamaya, hope you're doing well. How come you're not in Crystal Tower? This is Mental Roulette. And people need, and there was people that needed a replacement healer in Void Ark. Is the other Sage just not bothering with Cardia? I guess not. I haven't been paying attention to them. Also, hey, Mr. Selex, hope you're doing well. Yeah, for me, I mainly use macros if they help me do something better. The specific macros that I've used is, at the moment, I use a macro for ethereal manipulation on Black Mage, because it's easier for me to just like point in the general direction of where I want to go and then just mash it, hoping that I'll hit someone, instead of like trying to target someone in particular. Like, it actually improves my ability to use ethereal manipulation. I've also used a macro for Nascent Flash when I've been off-tanking. For the same reason that I'll just make a macro to target the main tank. And then I'll find that because it's a little easier for me to do, because I don't have to like swap target a lot, I'll use Nascent Flash more. Like, it helps me do better. Shirk macros can also be good, yes. I use Shirk so infrequently that that I never like find that I need them. Cole says so is Holmgang macro. Why? To make sure you target yourself with it, Cole? Is that why? In most situations where that would come up is in an AoE pull. On bosses, it doesn't matter, because they will just immune the chain anyway. And on an AoE pull, this is only a problem if you're like you can just target yourself and use it while you're using, I don't know, Overpower or Mithril Tempest. But yeah, if you're having trouble with that, then yes, a Holmgang macro will definitely help. But I don't think it's a must. Ham says Holmgang does not need a target anymore. Also that, the main reason why people target themselves with it, Ham, is because if they target nothing and they have auto-targeting on, then they'll find that they're targeting something by the time that they're using Holmgang. It has a range of it. Oh yeah, that is true. It does have a range. But genuinely on my end, I have such a deeply ingrained habit with Holmgang that I will target myself before using other invulns. Like as Paladin, I'll target myself and click Hallowed Ground. And there's no reason to. Oh, will I finally win this one? A 98 isn't guaranteed. Will Kai finally get a minion from Boydark? He will! Woohoo! My guess about that other Sage is that maybe they didn't realize that their Cardia wasn't on the tank. But I was a replacement. I don't know. Dan says, I loved opening a party fight and unsyncing that fight for the minion. That is a way to do it. I've just completely not bothered because I don't need it. Mr. Bright says, is that minion rare? No, but Voidark is. It's a guaranteed drop, but only one person out of all 24 players get it. So even if you brought like a full pre-made of your own, you would at worst have to do it 24 times for you to get it. But it's just because it's super super few of them. Isn't it per alliance, not per alliance, per raid? It's per whole 24 players. The minion is in the 4th, I'm pretty sure. It's alongside the coffin lid. That's why there's 4 boxes at the end. 3 of them has gear, and then the 4th one has a minion. I think. I'm pretty sure. Hey, Rillian. Hope you're doing well. But that is right. The reason why a lot of alliance raids has 4 treasure chests is because there's one for each alliance, and then there's one for the whole package. And the one for the whole package usually is the one with a minion in it. Hey, Lollipop Pizza. Hope you're doing well. But just for the record, there was a total of 4 players rolling for that minion. Also, we're going ninja next. And yeah, agreed, Cole. We've been going pretty fast. I'm queuing at 12:20. We've been going pretty fast. Most of it because DPS queues have been pretty short. I'm guessing part of it is thanks to the relic weapon grind. Single target dot on let's go. In before we get a guild test where I don't even have ninjutsus. Ninja is one of those jobs where I always dread playing it. Because I don't think I'm very good at it. Instant replacement. Is it Alliance Raid? Is it Crystal Tower? It's Praetorium. Fantastic. Woo! Woohoo!
Tell me, for whom do you fight?
It's not too bad, Zip Zap. I don't think too much about it. It's just that I'm like, this is going to be, like, every time with Ninja, I'm like, this is going to be awkward. But I just try my best. I don't worry too much about whether I am good enough. No! No, my... EM, help me. Save my Toton with your holy stuns. the hero holy spam. I don't even have a remove hide macro. That's how you know that I'm not a ninja main. Multi-target Discord. Nice, Aerodel. Nice. Ow. You know, the funniest part about that, Cole, is like, I'm like 90% sure that my ninja guide suggests to have a remove hide macro. I think I've also my ninja guide also suggests a Shikuchi macro, but I don't have either anymore. At least I used to have a Shikuchi macro. You weren't using that Doton, were you? Nah. I didn't want it anyway. It's fine. Your cousin handles Shikuchi for you. The saddest part, Mr. Bright, is when you rabbit the Caetsu jutsu. That's when you just want to, you just like, just end me, just step into the telegraph, like, just take me. I don't care. Zipzap says, the other day I was blessed with a post someone made of guys' speech in Gobby speak. That sounds pretty good. The Gen C speech is also pretty good.
For the world of man to slap, man must drag the world.
So the good news here is that because of this cutscene, all of my cooldowns will have lined up again.
Come, champion of Eorzea, square up!
Do you stand, Eorzea? Zipzap says the Gobby one says, it starts with, Tell Brave Flux who you swing wax sticks for. That's a good start. That's a good start. Tell Brave Flux who you swing wax sticks for. Oh. Someone hopped out of the cutscene.
The Chads often summon Sigmas to fight in their stead.
That was the wrong one. I don't know why I felt compelled to do that. There was some sort of like old magic in me going, you need to use Hooton. You need to use Hooton, man. You have to. It's Hooton or nothing. You gotta. And then I used Hooton. At least I used something that gave me trick attack.
Are your goats otherwise engaged?
In fairness, Nememaya, when your healer is a white mage, you might not want to take too much unnecessary damage, because they might actually have to use a GCD on healing you if you take too much of it. The horror... No. The thing is, what I mean by that is... White Mage GCDs are pretty powerful. Stone 2, relative to a Ninja GCD, Stone 2 is like 250 potency. Because of Maim and Mend. And the GCD you're losing is not that far from that. And you might not even lose one. Like, if you time it right, you might be able to just step out without losing anything. So you staying in might mean that your healer's losing damage. And why are you staying in? Because you want to not lose damage, right? I am aware, the horror, you don't optimize your MSQ roulette, nani? But I'm just saying, on the other hand, melee DPS can heal themselves. That is true. You could use second wind for that. You have a fair point. You make a solid counterpoint. I don't heal on this one. You get Medica 2 and that's all you get. That is healing, technically. That is healing. You have been outsmarted, Nememaya. But yeah, that is true. A melee DPS could heal themselves. You could probably do no healer Praetorium like really easily. Maybe the main problem I could see is the big AoE pull before the first boss could be a little awkward. And Gaius himself actually hits reasonably hard with his tank buster. And yeah, exactly. Scholar actually does pretty good damage at level 50. Yeah, maybe with Gunbreaker, just Aurora it up. I'm still shocked that Aurora is actually 300 cure potency. Like, just out the box. Like, I'm just saying, On single target, Aurora, like per use, beats Raw Intuition on healing. Not like overall, because Raw Intuition has a shorter cooldown, but Aurora heals for more than an optimally used Raw Intuition on single target. That sounds like a lot of asterisks, but considering how insanely busted Raw Intuition is, that's a pretty big stamp of quality. And that is correct, Anne-Marie. The reason why you use Art of War on single target before you get Broil as Scholar is because the fact that it is instant means that you get more auto attacks. It's not a huge deal because basically if you go into melee range, and just like enable auto attacks and spam Ruin 1, you will still auto attack. But each time you queue up Ruin 1, it basically just adds 1 second to your swing timer. Just imagine like it just goes +1 to the time between like before your next swing. Why 1 second? Who knows? But it's basically the cast time minus slide casting, which is about half a second. So every time you use Ruin 1, you lose 1 second of auto attacks. You don't lose that with Art of War. Is that a lot? No. Recently, I calculated it because someone asked on one of my Mythbuster videos. The difference between Ruin 1 spam with auto attacks and Art of War spam with auto attacks is like 5% more DPS if you spam Art of War. That is, I believe that was with bio included, like you're also maintaining your dot. But it's like 5%. And as Nememiah mentions, because Art of War is instant, easier to move around, easier to use your OGCDs when you want. And like it's very convenient. Also, hey JCap and Multiweight, hope you're doing well. Melissa says, I love torturing people at this moment by pointing out Nero's helmet is the wrong shade of red. Wow. Wow. Jose Carlson, hope you're doing well, and thank you so much. That's understandable. Ninja at level 100 can be a little overwhelming. Multiweight says I'm still farming Demi-Atma. Is it supposed to take this long? It might. You could just be straight up unlucky. If you're making sure to participate in all the fates you see and all the critical engagements you see, then you can't do much better. Of course, if you reach the point where you only need a few specific Demi-Atmas, it might not be the best. Like, you could go to specific Dawntrail zone to farm the specific Demi-Atma you need. Cultist Warrior single target mitigation is hot garbage. I'm just saying, at level 56, when you get Raw Intuition, the like overall toolkit of Warrior spikes up in value at that level. Like, I'm just saying, if it wasn't for the fact that that the Aerie has something that basically makes it impossible for a Warrior to solo it synced. And no, if anyone's about to do it, sit down. Wrath did not do it synced. Like, I'm 99% certain that he had to, like, level until it was possible. Because it's not even remotely possible synced. But before the Aerie, it's like Gunbreaker is the god of soloing among tanks. And then Warrior gets Raw Intuition and suddenly Gunbreaker is just like spoiled milk. Yes, that is Nidhogg. Why is that impossible? Because he will use the thing where he crowd controls one player, and then you have to save them. He will use that even if you're alone. And then you just get crowd controlled and then you die. And he, like, you cannot beat it with damage. Because you're crowd controlled. And he will use it early enough that there's no way for you to skip it. If you're synced. And alone. I'm not actually sure if it is possible to skip it with, like, a pumper group. Like, everyone just making maximum damage. I don't know if it's actually possible to beat it there, but alone, there's no way synced to beat it in time. Exactly, Sable Price. Hi, Jason. Good night to you. I mean, in fairness, Cole, if I remember correctly, you don't do that many dungeons. So it might be a really long time since you did it. Ham says not every enemy is as nice as the sloppy man. Exactly. For those that don't get that one. It turns out that Balzar's Wall's final boss, like, he also has like a color that locks someone in until you save them. But for some reason, he will not use it if there's only one player. Like, he's nice enough to do that. He says, I see you're also solo-only Wrath games enjoy. I haven't actually watched his series very much. I enjoy soloing things myself on my own end. I soloed stuff before he made it cool. But it's very classic that when I go, you cannot solo Titan normal synced, someone will pipe in with, actually Wrath Games did it, and then I say, how did he do it? And they'd say, oh, they used Ninja's Doton to break the jail. And I'm like, what level do they learn Doton at? 45. Okay, what level is Titan normal at? Not 45. Okay, so was it synced? And it's not the first time I've had that conversation, so like, I've just gotten used to if I say something cannot be done, someone will be like, actually Wrath Games, and then I'll have to say, no, he didn't. But I was so early on Wrath Games that before he had made like episode 3 or so, I made the video saying, you can't solo Susano. But then someone did, like a year before he did. But I actually called it that would be the problem on his journey. And he commented on that video. So he knew that I knew. Coltus, did you see the solo leveling game is co-op? That is extremely ironic. It's incredibly ironic. Cat says, I prefer the other version where you say something is impossible and someone does it anyway. Oh yeah, that too. Nowadays, I try my best to say something is impossible if it actually is impossible. If I don't know whether it's possible or not, I will not say that it's impossible. I will say it's really hard. Or I don't know if it's impossible. Because if I say it's impossible, then Cat or Ham will go and prove me wrong. But just because I don't watch Wrath doesn't mean that I don't think it's an interesting journey. It's just I don't watch that much Final Fantasy XIV stuff myself. I spent that time making content, right?
Tell me, for whom do you fight?
That's also why it's pretty surprising to me when other Final Fantasy XIV content creators comment on or watch my stuff, because I'm like, aren't you busy working yourself?
Eorzea's unity is forged of falsehoods. Its city-states are built on deceit, and its faith is an instrument of deception.
You'll never catch me watching 14 content. Wait a minute.
To believe in Eorzea is to believe in nothing.
Final Fantasy players working? XD? I mean, if you're a content creator and if you're technically working when you're making content.
Though your comrades only rarely respond in kind, which is strange, is it not?
Melissia says, does Caetsu have an optimization guide for each job in the current expansion? Yes, I do. Well, not optimization, I have a job guide for every job. And specifically for Black Mage and Viper, I have extra ones for 7.2. There's a playlist on the channel. And if you find it, it should start with the old Black Mage guide. You just scroll through and find the job you need. Fisher guide win? That's not a job. That's a class. And I actually do have a fishing guide, but it's pretty old.
Those are the beasts, icons, everyone, except but this, and you will see how Eorzea's faith is.
Can't believe anyone would need a Black Mage guide in 7.2. I love it when people exaggerate how much easier they made Black Mage go. I love it so much. So much. Come on now.
Cling to these false deities. What drives even men of learning, even the great Louis Swan, to grovel at their feet?
Thank you, Erdal. Erdal posted the playlist there if you're having trouble finding it.
Strength to do otherwise. For the world of man to
Say, Frauko, hope you're doing well.
own the world.
Oh yeah, I believe the Fisher guide is also from what some call the ASMR era.
Rich through conquest.
Check this after the run I just did as Black Mage. Yes, I need a guide.
Battle settles. It is ever the strong who dictate the fate of the weak.
I am glad I can help.
Knowing this, but a single path is open to the infinite.
I'm just saying, Cole, that
false worship.
basically all of my summoner guides have someone saying something like that. That, how could anyone need a guide for this?
Steer the course of civilization.
And then I also hear stories of summoners that never realized that they have to summon Carbuncle to use their toolkit. And summoners going, I just always lead with Ifrit because it's the first one.
Your defeat shall serve as
Um,
proof of my readiness to rule.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
It is only right.
But it's a little bit like if a ninja just went, I always open with a Huma Shuriken before I use other ninjutsus because it's the one I learned first. It's not a very good reason, is it?
Know your place.
I'm glad to hear that, Noi. And yeah, the thing is, the things that people get from a Black Mage guide now is probably more about like what is actually the optimal move. Not so much about having to worry about, you know, how the job even functions sometimes. But I can understand how someone needs it. Some of these jobs are complicated. Zay Rumble, hope you're doing well. Phew. How much HP did he have left?
Eorzea's mine by right.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's up, dude? That makes sense. Like, just like some sort of like a sanity check. To your question, Freezy Lemon says just queued into Alex normal race as Bard with a second Bard. What do you even do at that point? Just let one use all their songs? Optimally, if there's any sort of teamwork abound, then one uses their battle voice. And then either once the first battle voice ends, or on the odd minute, the next one uses battle voice, so that they don't overlap. Now, that's the only thing you can do. Why? I have a Mythbuster video on that. What happens if two bards both use their songs is that only one song can affect a player at a time. Among Wanderer's Minuet, Mage's Ballad, and Army's Paean. Only one. Which means that if the two bards have different songs playing, what you will see is that it'll like flip-flop between the two songs. I can't remember exactly what we found out, but what we did find out was that it would usually lean towards one of the bards getting like whoever's song, quote-unquote, activated last, and quote-unquote activated doesn't mean the one who used their song most recently. It's just one of the songs will have like 80% of the floor, while the other one will have the remaining 20, because it'll see the one song pop in, and then it'll switch to the other one, and then it'll like back and forth like that. Overall, the potential damage gain of optimizing this, if there even is any, is so incredibly minuscule that there's no need to. Thank you, Ardo. Doink. But yeah, the main benefit you could do in like optimizing battle voices is like if you get the other battle voice on the odd minute, it depends on what jobs you have. Maybe there are some jobs that would gain from getting like a little boost on the odd minute burst. Some jobs just don't have anything, so they just don't care, or players don't care. Anyway, I will queue when it says 22:35. You know what's even weird about that, Melissa? I'm almost certain, pretty certain, that if he goes into that intermission with 1 HP, he automatically just ends the fight afterwards. Like, the moment he would become targetable, he instead just dies. Because I'm pretty sure I've seen him do that without anyone doing anything. Like, everyone is just, like, looking at him and then he dies. Just... Alright, Caitlin, enjoy your evening. And what's up, dude? Can confirm it? Fantastic. Hey, Fash Day. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, I think I missed a little bit of that conversation, but the discussion of whether a job should be stronger because it's perceived as harder to play often becomes very difficult, because there's, of course, you know, some degree of, well, some jobs are generally easier than others, like, relatively speaking. Like, if you asked a million different people how difficult they find each job, you will probably see some tendencies that the jobs that are, instant replacement, probably an alliance raid. The jobs that are considered generally easier will have a lot more players saying that they're easier. And the ones that are generally perceived as harder will have more saying that they're harder. But, can I use this yet? I guess I can. Maybe. But, like, the people who are balancing the game would be the ones to ask, ultimately. And if they think that a specific job is harder and they balance the game around difficulty, then good luck, because I genuinely don't think that if you asked Judge P that he would say that Black Mage was the hardest job in the game before 7.2. Not necessarily. Not for him, anyway. So, like, you might, like, some of the players that say that jobs should be balanced so that the harder to play jobs should be stronger, usually, like with so many other things, say that while picturing themselves at the top of the food chain. Like, they are playing the difficult job, they should be stronger because they put in the time. But you might not find yourself at the top of the food chain, because the one who's responsible for that game balance might not agree with you. And they might not agree with you either because they just don't. But it might also be a case of, well, they play that job, so they don't think it's hard. So for that reason, it's always it's a dangerous proposition to suggest that that job should be balanced around what is harder to play, because you don't know if the one that is chosen to be the hard one is actually the one you think is hard. And if you don't agree, oof. I think someone recognized me. Someone doing /wow in the chat. The party chat, or rather in the game itself with an emote. Zoe Snow. There's multiple that know me. Oda as well. You know, honestly, Cole, I would also say that it's not that bad that Black Mage snubbed that title, because Summoner often, similar to Black Mage now, has had a lot of trouble with people heavily exaggerating how easy it is. So I think it's actually not too bad that another job gets to join it on that one. Because Summoner does get, like, how easy it is heavily exaggerated. Yeah, it's definitely not the hardest job, but people act like it's actually complete brain dead. And there are definitely many things I could envision that are harder, that are easier to do than playing Summoner. Hey, God Wars and Red Bean And Falco, and Asymmetricon, hope you're doing well. Also true, Asymmetricon, it's almost like some sort of karma at this point. Both Summon and Black Mage used to have people that were very much focused on how difficult those jobs were. Now they're not. Brett Bean says the other way is that if harder jobs are stronger, people may be pressured or forced to switch for the extra damage. Exactly. Exactly. If jobs were balanced specifically around making sure that the harder jobs are stronger, for instance, then then like you might like how an easier job plays, doesn't matter, because it's not the difficult job, so like you have to play the difficult job to do the most damage. What's the difficult job? The correct answer, the one that least appeals to you. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. Say Tally Ho and Alex Haupt, hope you're doing well. But I will say, there's also a large difference between what job is really hard baseline and what job is really hard to really push, and definitely the changes to Black Mage in 7.2 reduced both of those things. But just because something became easier doesn't mean that it is now trivial. But it does definitely have, the thing that makes it so that when a job becomes easier, people act like it lost all complexity to it, is that it's not a perfect comparison, but what's a good example? Let's say that you had to that for work you have to carry 20 kilos boxes back and forth. One day there's some change and now you only have to carry 10 kilo boxes around. That's going to be a lot easier. It's kind of like that, but just with brains instead. How much you have to think about playing a job. So because you were used to the Giga Brain, when it's suddenly not as Giga Brain, it feels like it's basically trivial. So that is exactly how it always comes back to difficulty is somewhat relative. Yes, easier jobs will probably tend to be something we can determine, but just because something is easier doesn't mean that it is trivial or brain dead. Malaysia says, I'm not a healer main, but I've found Astrologian is the most intuitive for me. There you go. That is a good example. Now we can carry 2 boxes? True. And also that, Steve, technically the Black Mage we had before 7.2 supposedly is dog water in terms of difficulty compared to what used to exist. Like, I didn't get to try it, so I wouldn't be able to know for certain. But supposedly the story goes that the hardest job ever was Heavensward Black Mage. And I'm almost certain that most people playing Final Fantasy XIV today never had the chance to try Heavensward Black Mage. I didn't. I started in Stormblood. Like, imagine telling a person that stopped in Heavensward that now Blizzard 4 makes you pay less for your fire spells. They're like, yeah, in my day, it was something you used to just be allowed to stay in Enochian. And we're like, stay in Enochian? I was like, Robert and Steve and some random person, hope you're doing well. I was like, hey, Red Hawk, hope you're doing well. It's not fully like that, Red Hawk. I believe the story goes that there was a specific type of Lalafell had the most piety, because piety used to be an attribute. And piety used to increase your max MP. So if you were that kind of Lalafell, then at max level, you would be able to cram in one more fire spell before you had to go back to ice. But, you know, other races could fix it with a piety meld. I think. Not that you'd want to do that, but you could. Milicia says, back when races were more than cosmetic. Technically, races are still more than cosmetic. It's just that they add so incredibly little that if you suggest that the reason why you wiped or didn't make a DPS check or something because of your choice of race, then I think most people will think that you're insane. Coulter's positionals feel like they should have been a gimmick on a single job or two, not the entire role. I mean, technically, they started as a gimmick on 2 jobs. It was the entire role, but technically. Consider that there was a time where an entire role was 2 jobs. And yet back then, positionals mattered way more. Gold says if positionals were gone, I would not mourn them. I'll say if positionals were gone, I would probably be pretty indifferent to it as well. But I've never mained a melee job, like a melee DPS. The closest was that I almost ended up playing Viper for the first Savage Raid tier of this expansion, but then I ended up as Warrior instead. wanted to commend one of the healers at least. Hindsight, I should probably done the Astrologian. There was a bunch of people in the raid that knew me, but because I can't see their names, aside from in the chat, I have no idea who's who if they don't walk up to me. Puny says, what do you use the random loot for from duties like this for? I hand it into my grand company and then I buy relic-related items for storm seals. Company seals. Hey, Lost Woods expert. Hope you're doing well, and thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that. Paul Max says as a Black Mage main, I didn't mind the new changes making it more chill to play and more focus on blasting. Yeah, I get it. The thing is, and I've said this a bunch of times now, I'm not saying that the Black Mage mains from before 7.2 that hate that it is easier now, that they are not justified in hating that. Yeah, I'll get to your question, Humble. But I'm also saying that just because they hate it doesn't mean that others can't love it or like it. And I love it. And there's others that do too. I can definitely understand the frustration that it feels like for some of those Black Mage mains that this simplification just made it easier to pick up Black Mage for what some people call job tourists, which is players that pick up a job because it is easy, or they don't actually care about the job, they're just leveling it, or they're just using it because it is strong. You could argue that the flavor of the month players would be could be considered job tourists. But I'm just saying that a lot of the Black Mages that suddenly jumped ship with Dawntrail because Black Mage dropped in ranking were also job tourists, if that's the case. Like, some players are playing the strongest job because it is the strongest, not because they love it. Some of them might find that they love it when they do, but if a job is at the top of the leaderboards in some way, it's very likely that a significant portion of the players you see play it a lot might be playing it for other reasons than loving it. Again, not saying that that suddenly means that Black Mage changes are just objectively good. Some like it, some hate it. That's just the way it is. I love it, as I said. But I'm not saying that just that you not liking it isn't justified. Also, hey, Thermal. And Cass, hope you're doing well. And hello, Thermal. As I was saying a little bit ago, I did notice that there were a bunch of people emoting at me and writing to me in the chat in the Alliance raid, but because I have my settings so that I can't see the names and such, I can only see it in the chat log. I can see that you were there, possibly, but I can't see you in the crowd. I have no idea which one is who, so I didn't mean to, skip over anyone, but I do hope you had a good time in the run. To your question, humble student, before the Black Mage changes, basically before 7.2, my go-to mage in Dawntrail was Pictomancer. But before Dawntrail, my go-to mage, or content where it wasn't crucially important I played well, I would play Black Mage. If I was playing Mage, I would play Black Mage. If it was harder content, I would often play Summoner or Red Mage, a little bit random. But That probably explains why, as they made it a little easier, suddenly I'm only playing Black Mage. Because I wanted to play Black Mage all along. But it was just a little too hard, so I didn't feel like it was a good idea to bring Black Mage into, like, really hard content. Like, I played too many different things to justify that. It was too hard to, like, keep up with it. And to your question, you can't possibly know. It might feel that way, but we can't possibly know. Not them straight up telling us. Dragoon. I think this will be the last one. I'll queue at 6:15. Hey, fellas. Hope you're doing well. In fairness, Anne-Marie, that's exactly the problem, is that a lot of like job discussion, especially on Black Mage, has always been like quite heavily like focused on like the mega optimizers, because the players that are just playing it wouldn't be participating as much in the conversation, I suppose. The optimization you can do now is a lot less complex, but as I teach in my guides, it's like you can do this, and then there's this other option that is a little better. Cole's toxic Black Mage mains is a super copium take, because every Black Mage main I know would love nothing more than teaching other people about it. I didn't say toxic. The problem is more that the mega dedicated Black Mage mains, I suppose, of the past, some still present, if they like go in with the mega opti, then they'll scare the person they're trying to teach. Like, it'll be overwhelming. So, like, the problem is not with, like, finding nice people that want to teach. The problem is that just because you want to teach doesn't necessarily mean that you know where to start. I guess we'll do one more. Just something like that, Melissa. Something like that. The overlap between people demanding optimization and the people teaching optimization was basically non-existent. That's basically the truth for most things in Final Fantasy XIV, I would say. The people that expect you to be perfectly optimal and all that don't need it for the most part. Like, the reason why they're demanding it is because they don't realize they don't need it. So they think they need it. Anyway, I will queue when it says 7:20. And yeah, it's a general problem. It's basically, if you don't know what you need, then you assume you need more than what you need. And if you need more than what you need, if you think you need more, then you'll assume you need everything. And then you get a little hyper-focused on optimization. But if you understand what you need and what you don't need, then you will know to not ask for that. Yeah, that's true, Melissa. I actually... By the way... wow. I actually made a video inspired by that called... And I will say, I'm not sure if it still applies, but I actually made a video based on that one. The why it's considered rude to suck at WoW. I made a video called why it's not... why it's okay to suck at Final Fantasy XIV. But I don't know if that's actually still true. Hey Sally, hope you're doing well. And by that I mean a lot more focus has landed on people wanting extreme optimization. For the most part, there isn't a problem. It's just the bad eggs that can sometimes make it difficult. I'll queue at 7:55. And now Ramu Extreme. It's always Ramu Extreme, isn't it? It's weird that. Thank you, Ardell. And hey, Adam. Hope you're doing well. I haven't met very many bad eggs either. And exactly, Freezy Lemon. A particularly funny one about that is that on my misconceptions about mentors video... Oh, 10-minute replacement. Are we going in an extreme? No. What? Huh? What? In my misconception about mentors, I basically pointed out that it's perfectly normal for people to, like, for the human mind to exaggerate your, like bad experiences. And the funniest thing about that is that I had several people in the comments basically going, yeah, you can say that, but my experiences are real. I actually experienced that many negative experiences. Like, they didn't see the irony in that. Absolutely amazing. As in, I would say the human mind has a tendency to latch onto bad experiences and, like, exaggerate them a little bit. And then people were like, yeah, but I don't. My brain is different. I'm special like that, and I just don't experience that because I'm that amazing. No double elixir? First of all, Cyanide, I mess it up by accident, but at level 90, it's actually best to double Rising Phoenix. Isn't that funny? It's like I'm built different. Hey, Mandalorian. Hope you're doing well. I'll get to your question after this one, Lost Woods Expert. Maybe you may need to ask it again so I remember. But I just realized now that it's Monk takes exactly too many brain cells for me to play. So I can't. I straight up can't. I also goofed up my 2-minute there. Started too early, I think.
Flames to lick at your heels.
Flames to lick at your heels.
I'm pretty sure you can just stand here. Pretty sure?
Darkest flames to me.
Can I just do that again? I'm pretty sure you can.
Naught but ash will remain.
KKB says, I haven't found many videos for tips on Scholar plus Scholar healing teams. Do you have one that discusses this? I do not. And that is also an extremely specific composition. You should not expect to see this in any situation where you actually need to optimize. Ever. Like, double the same healer is generally something you should not see in a piece of content where it actually matters. The best you can do is try to not overlap things like chain stratagem.
All will burn. Allow me to show you real flame. You've strength worthy enough of pride.
Come on. Well, I know you have a cutscene. Come on.
Will it be enough? I am one with the flame. You are the first to behold this form. The flames rise higher. Look now on my essence made pure. Destruction incarnate.
Oh, right. The wave. I always forget that.
To ashes with you.
Why did it become bootlegs, everyone? Wow. Wow. That's funny.
I shall tear you asunder.
Oh, man. I see what you mean. I'm not laughing at the suggestion that he's bootlegs, everyone. Like as if he isn't. That the one wing thing, I can see it. I can absolutely see it.
Flames to lick at your heels.
I'm just gonna keep doing the thing that I did and assume that it keeps working.
Darkest flames to me.
Rubicante over here like, man, I put all this effort into this mechanic and then you just poke a hole right into my strategy. Just ignore it fully. It's not very nice. It's not very nice. Right. Exactly, Frauko. It's just, I'll just stand on the line. I believe the simplified explanation is like if it actually is going to swap to a straight line, you don't want to stand there. But it's always that configuration on normal. That's so funny. Right, so to Lost Woods expert's question about blind prog. That group that you explained there sounds really weird. As far as I understand, blind prog, from all I know about it, is everyone involved has only learned up to the point they're advertising, which often is from start. They only know about the things they have seen themselves. As in, they have not watched a guide, they have not gotten told by anyone else how to do it, they figured it out themselves. Once you're like reprogging, like from the middle, it can be a little difficult because maybe someone comes in that, you know, they actually know that specific part better. And you don't know how they learned it, for certain. But saying it's not allowed to talk about the mechanics in a blind prog is like kinda missing the point. Because I'm pretty sure you're supposed to like try and figure it out together. I'm like 99% certain of that. But I had, back in Shadowbringers, I did Puppet's Bunker for the first time as a blind drinking game run. Which meant most of the whole raid, like all 24 players, most of them had, like, were playing on like drinking game rules. And most of all the groups had people that had never done it before and hadn't looked anything up. There were a few players that had already done it, but they had basically just sipped, didn't say a word. But when we started having a little bit of trouble with the monitor boss, if you know, you know, we started discussing, like, sharing what we had seen or understood of the fight, and then there was, like, one guy who didn't realize that the people who were discussing it were the blind players. So they were like, stop, don't, like, I thought this was blind, don't talk about the, don't tell us how to do the mechanic, I want to figure it out myself. And it's like, yeah, us too, man. And they then left. And then we did the run with less than the maximum amount of people. Fun. But some people have a different understanding of blind. The best you can do is understanding what that specific group expects. So it can be a little difficult. Can be a little difficult to discuss. But the best you can do is just ask when you get in. Like, what are we allowed to talk about? And if you have already done the fight, you should generally let someone else talk about it. Even if there's something you didn't understand, you should, like, let someone else talk about it. You can, of course, ask if you're not sure how to do the strategy they're saying that you should do, but, you know. Alex House says, are there more AR drinking games? I don't know. I was part of that one single one. It was pretty funny. I was there as White Mage. And the only time I had to drink was because we had a little rule that you had to, you know, toast when a boss was killed. And then, like, they were like, you had to drink if, I believe you had, like, it was like a shot every time you died. And I didn't die until Monitor Boss. I died to something. Then I got rest because I was the most reliable healer in the entire alliance. So I got, like, prio rest. And then I died again because we were basically like we were going down. So there was nothing I could do. But I got rest, took the rest, died, got rest, took the rest, died, got rest, took the rest, died. And eventually we wiped, and when we were done with that, I had like 5 shots and the rule that I had to empty my drink because we wiped. So I went from basically nothing to pretty smashed pretty quickly. You play better with an alcohol boss? I don't think so, but I don't play while having with alcohol very often. I feel like I missed a different question as well. My mom says I'm special. That's amazing, Alana. But yeah, seriously, on that one that I was talking about before that, is that I was talking about the mental misconceptions thing, is that a lot of people don't realize that in there, that first of all, you can't trust your memory very well. Like, I'm not joking. If you genuinely believe that, I don't know, that Doton takes exactly the same amount of time to cast as Raiton, it doesn't, it takes half a second longer, you would be able to conjure up whatever image your mind needs for that to be true. If you know what that looks like, you would be able to. You would be able to conjure that memory, even if it never existed. That's also the reason why, when I'm doing my Mythbuster things, that when people say that something was a specific way, unless they can, like, you know, show evidence, most of the time I'll be like, I mean, if they're saying it as a fun fact and they don't, like, put very much weight to it, then that's funny. But if they say that it, like, absolutely were true and that I'm wrong for thinking otherwise, then I'm like, evidence, and your memory is not good enough. Because your memory can just pull it out of a hat, if that's what it takes. And the specific example then is the, as I said, your brain has a tendency to hold on to negative memories more, and if it's tested on it, it again does this, whoop, more negative memories, and some of them might not exist, or it has just exaggerated the negativity of memories that weren't actually negative, just to make sure you have enough evidence for the person who's questioning you. Because the brain hates to be told that it is wrong. And the specific one is then mentor misconceptions, is that a lot of people act like mentors are more likely to be bad than non-mentors. Not realizing that the way that that works is that if I land in a group, like a normal raid, for instance, and they see a crown, it's very easy to remember whether that crown was bad. The other players didn't stand out to me. In fact, the sprouts, I could probably justify why if they made a mistake. It's fine. They're a sprout. It's okay. And it's just funny, because then what happened in the comments of that video is exactly like, there were, like, it was not one person, it was a bunch of people that basically said, yeah, but also, that's actually my experience. And sure, it's possible that there exist players that legitimately have ran into more bad mentors than bad anything else is. But that's really rare. You should equip a legend title. I don't have one. But yeah, that one too. If there's any kind of player that is even worse than a mentor crown, it's one that also has a legend title. Oh yeah, Franco, was that Kurzgesagt? I think I saw that one too. Also, hey, Anzakite, hope you're doing well. But yeah, exactly. Not only does your brain hold on to negative memories better, not only can it conjure any memory you need for whatever narrative you need, it is going to, without your permission, do that regularly, on the daily. And then it'll be like, oh yeah, all mentors are bad. You remember, right? All these mentors that you've met are bad, right? All of them. Even though you don't actually remember like 95% of the mentors you've ever seen. But those 5%. Oh. Itki says, once had a sprout in a mentor roulette extreme. Call me a PayPal legend when I asked for a minute to look up the fight's mechanics. I have a whole video on that topic as well. And the funny thing is, that video actually has PayPal legend in the thumbnail. But the whole point of it is that having a title doesn't mean that you know everything. Melissa says PayPal legend, what does that even mean? It means that there are people that sell clears of ultimates for real money that you send over PayPal. And if you're called a PayPal legend, they're basically saying you're so bad at the game that that title can't be legit. You can't have earned that. But the thing is, having cleared Uwu doesn't say anything about your ability to do Thorn March Extreme. And yeah, I said Thorn March Extreme. Like, basically, having beaten one piece of content does not mean that you know a different piece of content. Not necessarily. A lot of fights in Final Fantasy XIV about memory. It's more likely that an ultimate, like a legend haver, knows how to do fights. Like, it's a lot more likely that someone that has a legend title would be capable of doing extremes and such off the hip. It's more likely, but it's not a guarantee. And the reason for that is because, like, some people sort of just assume that have title equals must know everything. Which is weird. When in reality, have title equals might be better than average. Emphasis on might. And the same applies to mentors. The same applies to everything. In fact, some people add weight to them having leveled jobs as if it's some sort of skillful performance. Like, one of my weirdest experiences with a tank that I've mentioned before was a tank that basically only did 1, 2, 3s and no defensive cooldowns in Bottom's middle. And when questioned on it, they said they had leveled all the other 3 tanks to max and had never had any problems. It's like, yeah, because leveling a job is really hard, right? Yeah, good healers is what they had. In fact, I'm almost certain that the reason why they did, quote-unquote, never had trouble was because people saw them play like that, and they were just like... Like, if I see a tank do that at, like, level 70 plus, or even 60 plus sometimes, I will just look at them as a lost cause. Like, if they're playing like this at this level, then, like, I don't even know where to start. So, like, the reason why they don't have anyone questioning them is because everyone gave up. Nosarel says, for me, it's the very difficult concept. It's the very difficult concept to grasp that if you do something for so long, why not try to do it well? Indeed, but that is actually what happens. That is actually what goes wrong, goes back to how your brain interprets this. Also, thank you, Aridel. Exactly how your brain interprets this is if this person has leveled 3 of the 4 tanks at the time, fully, you question their methods. Admittedly, from everyone who knows how to tank, it's completely absurd to suggest that they're doing it right. But for their mind, for them, if the way they're playing tank now is wrong, then it means that they have been playing tank wrong for 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 hours, who knows? And your brain is a problem solver. The problem it has been served with is that you did things wrong. You know what the easiest way to solve that one is? No, it is them who's wrong. They did it wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. It's much easier, and it also means that your brain is not dumb. It makes your brain look smart, if it's right. So it's easier to blame the others and say that it's them. That's also why in PvP games it's very, very hard for people to accept that they themselves are the reason they lost. Or at least part of the reason. Cyanide says, an old friend tried to tell me and some other friends at the time that Blasting Zone was an AoE while actively playing Gunbreaker. The last bit is what makes it really funny. It reminds me of a conversation I had back in Shadowbringers about Machinist. And also, to be fair, Blasting Zone looks like it should be AoE. And also sounds like something that should be AoE. It just isn't. Back in Shadowbringers, I had a friend. And they, like, let's just say, this thing with your brain is very good at making up truths to defend itself. The more you have invested, like more of your life you've invested in something, the more likely it is to do that. And this person had played since 1.0. So there was a lot of things where they said that something was the case. They didn't check. But they assumed that you'd take their word for it because they had more time with the game than you. Two stories, because they basically came back to back. The first one was that they said that that they had observed that Scorch or the Flare of the Holy, I can't remember exactly, did more damage or was more likely to crit if you did it after displacement. But when questioned on it, they eventually relented and said, yeah, you're right, there's technically nothing in the tooltip suggesting as much, so it might just be me who's biased. The second one, exactly based on what? Or based also what? The second one, which came shortly after, so same day, like maybe 10 minutes later, they said, and don't worry, I'm not just going to paint it completely unfairly. And good luck, Anne-Marie. They said Wildfire did more damage based on how much damage you did during Wildfire. Now, in fairness to them, this was true in Stormblood. In Stormblood, Wildfire copied 25% of the damage you did during it and then went kaboom for however much that was. But they said this in Shadowbringers. And I tried to explain to them multiple times that no, that's not how it works. It scales with the amount of GZDs you've done. And the reason why I had difficulty convincing them was because I assumed they had read the tooltip recently. So the conversation ended with, anonymous friend, to not, throw them under the bus. Can you read the tooltip of Wildfire for me? And they said, oh. It's straight GZDs. Covers target's body in a slow burning pitch. Action is changed to detonator for the duration of the effect. Deals damage when time expires or upon executing detonator. Potency is increased by 240 for each of your own weapon skills you land prior to the end of the effect. Can be stacked up to 6 times. Read the tooltip reason? I'm genuinely answer. There are some people that could benefit from getting that one in their face. I actually had this one too with some of the, like, I think I did it in one of my more recent Mythbusters, that there was a whole summoner spiel I went where I finished with, you could also read the tooltip. A Pokeblock, and Zaylor, hope you're doing well. To your question, Zaylor, all 4 tanks are fine, so you don't have to worry about choosing the best one. However, at present, I believe Paladin is really good. But ultimately, all 4 are good. Like, you choose the one you like best. You will probably do best with the one you like the most, so choose the one you like the most, and that's that. Pokeblock says, when I was finally leveling Paladin in Endwalker, I was confused why I had a magic combo during Fight or Flight, because didn't it only boost melee damage? Which I think used to be true. Before the Endwalker Paladin rework, which means before 6.3, Fight or Flight increased your physical damage by 25%. Which indeed meant that you had a separate physical burst and magic burst. Now that Fight or Flight just boosts all damage, it's just one big one. Zillow says, I don't like Paladin, then don't play Paladin. Very easy there. Now that you know that I'm saying Paladin is really strong, but you don't like Paladin, now you're free to choose the tank you like the most. Hey Moonman, thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that. And yeah, best depends on the content. But ultimately, my point is all 4 tanks are really strong, but at present I've been told that Paladin is really good. In like Savage and such. And Lost Woods Expert says, I heard Paladin has a self-heal on a 1-2 combo. Not quite. Gunbreaker does, because there's step 2 heals, but what Paladin has is they have Clemency, which just heals them for 2k MP. And Riot Blade recovers 1000 MP. So you can, like, in a pinch, you can do 1-2, 1-2 Clemency. Like this, and Clemency. While recovering a little bit of MP, so eventually you can do more than that. I believe so, Donker. Exactly, Lost Woods Expert. Sort is kind of. They can. Kind of. Lost Woods Expert also said, you know what would be a good Mythbuster video? True openers versus optional openers. That one is difficult because most openers are like, depends. Like there is a classic opener, you could say. Like this one is good for most things, and then there's alternative openers, and they're good for other things. There's of course like an opener that is generally fine, and that's usually what I teach in my guides. Like I teach an opener you can use everywhere. But if you're trying to optimize something specific, there are those optional openers. Pulse Geek says, by any chance are Bozia or Eureka Relic grind streams coming? I will probably get around to a Eureka grind stream event, like Eureka stuff eventually. But at the moment, I'm pretty deep into, you know, grinding the Dawntrail relics. I will probably never have a Bozia relic grind stream, and there's a very, very good reason for that. And it's this. The one that is missing I have in my inventory. So you probably know Bozia, but eventually Eureka probably. Longo says, what job has the most opener options? Is it Monk? Because I hear Monk has 4. It depends. I believe technically Monk has a double lunar, a solar lunar, well, a, you know, solar lunar, lunar solar, and double solar, and also a GZD2 and GZD3 opener for every single version. So at that point, the question starts to become what counts as a unique opener. Because depending on what counts and what doesn't count, you could argue that Monk has like 8. But it depends on how many matter. Hey Snoopy, hope you're doing well. Remember that the first 70 levels, as long as you haven't bought the game yet, on the free trial. Basically, all the way up to Stormblood, you can play for free. You just don't buy the game. If you already did that, you can make a new account and play for free on that one. Bard has the most? I don't even know, Cyanide. I know Bard has some weird jank. Hard to say, Zelo. Some say that Gunbreaker's hard. Some say it's not. The best you can do is choose the tank that looks the most interesting to you. Small Kai Bozia, the stars are telling me. We have actually been to Bozia and Small Kai. What is your favorite city in game? I really like Old Charlian. But yeah, in regards to openers, that one is really complicated. Because, like, in regards to like the difference between a true opener and an optional opener, because what is a true opener anyway? Like, there is the maximum damage opener, but I'm just saying, if you see an opener in my guides, there are a few things that are like, you should really do this, but there's a lot of poor parts in an opener where it's like, it doesn't actually matter what order you do them in. Like, just think. A particular example of that is that I believe Dragoon has a lot of flexibility in what order you use their attacks in. It's just the buffs that really have to be in a specific order, and you really want the cooldowns to go before the ready actions and things like that. Puny says, what language is Sage's abilities based off? Greek. I actually have a video where I explain and pronounce to the best of my ability most of the Sage actions because it's from Endwalker. I also attack all of the other jobs that have non-English action names for the most part. Most of Sage's actions mean something. And it's medical terms, yes. Thank you, Erdl. Erdl put the link to that video in the chat right there, in case you want to see it, Puny. Engagement. You know what's really funny about that, Nozereld? In Danish, we have the word engagement. And it sounds like that in Danish. Engagement. It was actually pretty hard to make that video, and even though I tried really hard, there were some words I got wrong. I got the meaning of them wrong. Ian says, I started in 2021, did AR as White Mage, but haven't played in over 3 years. Would you recommend starting a new character or resuming my 52 White Mage after 3 years? If you haven't gotten further than AR, then you could probably pick it up again. But if you feel like it might be confusing, then it might be better to make a new character. You might also not be very invested in that old character. But yeah, if you want to, like, if you could easily just continue that character. If you think it's a little overwhelming, you could just start a different job until you've like gotten back into the swing of things, and then continue White Mage from there. I will also say I'm pretty sure that I specifically ran the French things in that video Aradel posted there by Aradel, who is French. What's the best way to level out jobs without MSQ? You unlock the class, then you open this, the hunting log. It's here under logs, or you press H, and then like if they have this, then you just do that. When you hit level 15, you can queue for Sastasha. When you hit level 16, you can do leveling roulette. And once you've done the daily leveling roulette, you just queue for the highest level dungeons you can while doing this. And if you run out of this, you can just do fates. If it really comes, like if it gets really annoying, use this. Just spam dungeons. That is one of the most effective ways to do it. I believe I explained this in my leveling guide as well. Now, with that said, I think this is a good as time as any to wrap up. So, if you enjoyed this particular stream, it helps me a lot if you leave a like on it here on YouTube. That tells the algorithm this was an enjoyable stream. I'd like other people to enjoy it as well. So, thank you so much in advance. And if you'd like to be part of the Discord community server, there's a link in the chat right there. There you will find the weekly schedule where you can see what else is coming up in the coming days. Usually updated Sunday or Monday. And if you go to, you will also find, whenever I post videos and streams, you will see links in the announcement room to those. And if you grab the reminder role in the role assignments room, you'll get a notification whenever I post a video or stream. As well as an extra one around 15 minutes before stream starts, so you can catch it right when we go live. And if you'd like to support the channel even more directly, you can become a member of the channel, you can gift memberships, you can use the super chat system, or if you don't like any of that, Aradel posted a Ko-Fi link right there. It all helps support me in the channel directly, so I can focus on doing stuff like this with all of you. So thanks so much for the support. But that'll be all from me tonight, so good night, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye bye!